carbohydrates all this time and I didn't know. Now I am so angry. I had a 45-minute argument with my gastroenterologist. So he was telling me complete and utter lies. Complete and utter lies. Hi guys, welcome back to Carnivore Claire. In this week's video, I want to talk to you a little bit about something that happened to me 12 years ago. And that is, I lost a lot of weight very quickly, 100 pounds in 7 months doing the recommended diet. And it left me very, very poorly. So let's get into it. I'm someone who struggled with my weight my whole life. I would say my problems with my weight started when I hit puberty, about 13 years old, and my weight started to balloon. I was never the type of person who was really into my weight and really wanting to like sort it out and like look skinny as possible, dye my hair and all that. That wasn't me at all. I was quite content until other people started commenting on it, and then that really got me down and knocked my confidence. My weight ballooned out of control when I was in my early 20s. I had gone through a life experience that was extremely traumatic, and as a result I ate and ate and ate, and it became my coping mechanism, and I kept that weight on for a couple of years. I remember I went to Australia. You can see a photo here of me in Australia, and I was really big then. I was about 250 pounds or so, and I loved Australia. It was my dream to go to Australia, and then it wasn't that nice of an experience when I was there. I was there for about 3 weeks and I had 3 different occasions where people were abusive to me because of my weight. It wasn't a very tolerant country then. This is back in about 2005, so I don't know if it's changed since then. I went back, I think I went 2003 and then I went back in 2005. So that was a little bit sad. And when I came back, I embarked on this weight loss journey. I'd lost my best friend from childhood. Her name was also Claire. We were the same age. We went to school together. And she had a weight problem as well. In fact, she was bigger than I was. And she ended up dying suddenly, which was due to her epilepsy. But just before she died, we had started going to Slimming Well together. So after she died, I wanted to, in her memory, lose weight. So I started losing weight, but doing it on my own, not with any kind of program. I was calorie counting, trying to keep my calories really low, and I started going to the gym. I met a wonderful instructor called Sam, and yeah, she was brilliant with me and she really encouraged me, and I was losing about 14 pounds a month. It was falling off me because I needed that kind of motivation, external motivation. So I was eating the healthiest I'd ever eaten in my life. I completely overhauled my food. I went to bananas, apples, other fruits, other vegetables. I was eating very, very healthy. I was eating quinoa and things like that, all like the superfood, if you like. Suddenly, I'd lost about 3 stone, so about 50 pounds or so, and I started to get ill. It was when I was at the gym. I'd be on the rower. Remember those rowers? Well, I say do you remember them because it's a long time since I've been in a gym. But I'd be on the rower and I'd be just like dragging myself backwards and forwards, and it would take me a week to recover from the gym. And I remember going to the doctor and saying something is not right, because I was getting flu symptoms a lot as well. And the doctor did my bloods. She said, your bloods are healthy. There's nothing wrong with you. And I sat there and said, so why do I feel like utter shit then? And she just said, oh, you're just overdoing it in the gym. And I said, I'm not though. If you look at everyone else in the gym, they're doing a hell of a lot more than I am. My body was probably in starvation mode, to be honest with you. Because the weight was falling off, but it was not healthy what I was doing. At that point, I went to fasting. So I was doing 16/8 fasting, not officially, but I would have my last meal before I went to bed, and then I wouldn't eat till about 4 o'clock the next day. And I found that easiest to bring in less calories, because I found that if I was eating first thing in the morning, then I would be ravenous all day. And that was my first clue. Carbs early in the morning, ravenous all day. Don't eat until 3 p.m, not ravenous all day. Mentally, I was feeling better because I was looking slimmer, I was looking healthier. Everyone was complimenting me. I felt such a sense of achievement, but I was so poorly. I was at my fittest. I was running 10 miles 3 times a week on the treadmill at the gym, feeling so fit. Even when I was very overweight, I was doing that. I remember being on the treadmill one day, and this guy, cheeky so-and-so, says to me afterwards, he goes, "You've really impressed me. You're going longer than I am." Because I think I was at 10 minutes. I might have just been under 10 minutes at that point, and he had done 6 or 7 minutes. That was his prejudice coming out, looking at me because I was fat, thinking she's not fit. But actually, I was extremely fit. I was doing a lot of weight training as well, which I absolutely loved. I adored the gym. I got so many endorphins from the gym. I enjoyed eating healthy, or what I assumed was eating healthy. I say assumed, what I was told I was eating healthy. At one point, I asked the doctor to send me to a dietitian. She took one look at my meals and said, "Your meals are not making you ill. There's nothing in here that is going to make you ill," she said. And I said, "But there is. There's something in there that is making me ill." I knew at that point my food was affecting me. I did my research, and I come up with chronic fatigue syndrome. I had all of the symptoms of it. I went back, the doctor said, "You don't have chronic fatigue syndrome. You're just a bit depressed." And I'm like, "Are you joking me? I'm going to the gym 3 times a week, killing myself, in bed the rest of the time, never been happier because of the endorphins. I'm not depressed." And they would not have it. And then a battle ensued. I remember one time, I did eventually get diagnosed with ME, and just afterwards I went to the doctor and I said, "I think food is making me ill." And he said to me, "Food is not making you ill. There's nothing in food that is going to make you ill," he said to me. I was actually asking him for a prescription for gluten-free food, because at that point I was on an extremely low income, and you could get that if you were celiac. And he said to me he can't give it to me because I'm not celiac. And I said, "But eating gluten food is making me really ill, and gluten-free food is really expensive." So we're going back 11 years now. So he was just like, "It's not food." He was absolutely adamant food is not the problem. He said, I think I was 37, 38 at that time. And he said to me, "You're still young. You need to accept that this is going to be your life for the rest of your life now." And I could barely get out of bed. He just wanted me to accept that. He said, "I will ask my manager if I can give you those products." He said, "I think they're going to say no, but come back to me in 2 weeks." So while I was on that 2-week wait, if you want to call it, to see him again, I decided I was going to prove it to him. I did an elimination diet. I cut everything out, almost everything. And within 2 days, I was able to go running around the park again. And then 2 weeks later, I was the picture of health. And I went in there, as soon as I clocked him, see how anxious he looked, because he knew he was going to have a fight with me. Well, I sat down, he goes, "How are you today?" And I said, "I'm very good, thank you." And he looked at me and went, "Wow, it is like I'm looking at a different person." He said, "What have you been doing?" I said, "Exactly what I told you I needed to do in my last appointment. I've cut out food, essentially. I'm eating next to nothing." And he's just basically said, "I apologise, I was wrong. Keep doing what you're doing." But the problem with that was I was still having carbs, just very few carbs. So I was still getting hungry and I still had that carb craving, and I found it very difficult to stay off the sugar. So over time, I gradually increased the sugar again, because the symptoms, although I would get some pain, some discomfort from sugar, it wasn't enough to stop me like gluten was. Gluten, I would just be laid up for 3 days, suicidally depressed, and it was horrible. But with sugar, I didn't have that. So I kept that in my diet, and dairy as well. But over time, they were making me worse and worse. I've then been really poorly. I was working a very hard job. It wasn't hard in terms of the job I was doing, but it was very demanding, shall we say. Or should we say the managers were very demanding, and the other staff as well, because I was an admin, essentially. Everyone would pile their work on me, even when it wasn't my job to do. So my job was demanding. I wasn't sleeping at all because of my illness. And in 2018, I was at the brink, the point of exhaustion, and I had to give my job up, which turned out to be the absolute best thing I could have done for myself, because it took 3 years to get my health back from there. But I would say the last year or so, my stress levels have been extremely high, and my health has been deteriorating again, to the point a few months ago I was bedbound again, pretty much bedbound. I was getting out of bed maybe once or twice a week. I was at my wit's end. If you're from my other channels, you would have seen in those vlog channels, there were times I was in absolute tears because I had no energy. And I wasn't keeping up with the home, I wasn't doing anything, I was just laying in bed existing. Now, a few people had told me, try the carnivore diet. And I had tried Atkins back in the day, and I wasn't that taken with it. I found it gave me a lot of really serious headaches, and I didn't stick with it for very long. So I had this preconceived idea in my head that that was going to happen this time. But eventually I just got so desperate, I started doing some research into the carnivore, and the more I read, the more I watched, the more I thought this is worth a go. And it was mainly because I would watch the videos from like Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Chaffee, Butter and Steak Girl, lots of them. There was loads of them I watched, and I would always look at the comments. I was more interested in the comments than I was what the creator was saying. And comment after comment, thousands of comments I come across saying carnivore diet changed my life. Changed my life. I did my research. It is a controversial diet because they say that red meat can kill you, basically cause cancer. Amongst other things, cholesterol can go sky high, it can affect your kidneys, there's all sorts of things. But I was at the point where I just thought, this is worth the risk. It's worth the risk. I could do it for a month, see how I get on. If I don't get on, I come off it. I haven't lost anything. But once I was on it, you guys know what it's like. If you've done it, once you're on it, you're not coming off it ever again. As the time's gone, I'm at nearly 2 months now, so we will be doing a 60-day update very soon. Probably be the week after next, I would imagine. But week on week, I'm seeing more and more and more improvements. And we will talk about that in that video. But something else is that the weight is absolutely dropping off me. Because what I didn't say was that when I lost all that weight and then I got ill, the weight piled back on. Now, that wasn't just because of my illness. I was in a stressful relationship, and that caused me to comfort eat again. And life, basically, just life. And so the weight come back on, and I got to the point, bigger in fact, than I was before I lost weight before. So I won't give you my weight update today. That will come, and it's worth the wait, I promise you. The weight is falling off me, I will say that. So I could not be happier. I really couldn't be happier with where I'm at. Now, the whole point of this video was to tell you that when I lost weight the traditional way, the calorie counting, calories in, calories out, exercise, excessive dieting in order to make it come off fast. And like, society doesn't tell you to do it fast. Society tells you to do it slowly, £1 a week, £2 a week, maximum. But anyone who's ever tried to lose weight does not sustain their weight loss losing £1 a week. They might, depends on your personality. But for me, that just wasn't something that was going to be feasible for me. I had to see a faster weight loss. And also, there's a lot of external pressure. When you are big, you get a lot of discrimination. You get a lot of filthy looks. Sometimes people will verbally attack you. So the faster you can get that weight off, the better you feel and the less you have to endure those kinds of things. I did what I needed to do at that time. I did not for 1 second think it would make me ill, but I think, looking back, it was that very thing that did give me chronic illness, because that chronic illness started, or the symptoms started, about 3 months after I started losing weight and after I'd overhauled my diet. Now, I was watching a lecture by Dr. Chaffee a little while ago. You probably know him. He's here in the carnivore community. And he said something that I found a very, very eye-opening, very interesting. Take a look at this.
Eating the wrong thing. I think now as doctors, we need to recognize that a lot of our chronic diseases are actually plant toxicities. And what I would argue is that the so-called chronic diseases that we treat are not diseases per se, but toxicities and malnutrition. Toxic buildup of species-inappropriate diet and a lack of species-specific nutrition, namely too many plants, not enough meat.
So when he said that, I was like, what? I have been poisoned by carbohydrates all this time and I didn't know. It's as simple as that. As simple as that. Now, I am so angry that I was fobbed off so much by dietitians, gastroenterologists, which I didn't even get into a few years ago, about 5 years ago. I had 2 tubes down my throat and a colonoscopy, and they said, there's nothing wrong with you. It's all in your head. Sort your anxiety out, they told me. I had a 45-minute argument with my gastroenterologist because he would not believe me. Get this, I even asked him, I said, my inflammation markers are sky high. How do I bring them down? And he said, you can't. You need to forget you know you've got inflammation. And I was like, you can't forget you know. You can't forget you know you have inflammation. It's in your body. I was like, my veins were on fire. He outright lied. I now know there are multiple ways that you can reduce inflammation. I reduced it by half by using turmeric supplements. And I probably have reduced it down to normal levels by doing the carnivore diet. I feel now that I do not have inflammation in my body. That's not totally true. I have arthritis in my knees, so there is some inflammation, and I have a damaged coccyx area. It might be my sacroiliac joint area. There's obviously inflammation there. But in terms of my chronic illness, I feel that the inflammation is gone, completely gone. It feels like my veins are empty is the only way to describe it. So he was telling me complete and utter lies. Complete and utter lies. They have to be. I can't see how a gastroenterologist believes that you cannot get rid of inflammation. If you are a gastroenterologist and you happen to come across my video, leave me a comment and explain to me where you think he was coming from, because I'd be really interested to know that. Here we are with carbohydrate toxicity causing lots and lots of chronic illnesses. Lots of chronic illnesses. And it is as simple as not eating carbohydrates to make oneself better. I will leave a link to Dr. Chaffee's video down below, the full length video. Watch the whole thing, it is totally worth a watch. So I just wanted to share that update with you. Let me know down below if you have any comments, questions about anything I said. Do you also have chronic fatigue syndrome? Do you have another illness? There's a girl called Cabana Chronicles, I think she's called, on here, who has got better using the carnivore diet from MS. That channel is really worth a watch. I will leave a link to her channel down below as well. I just wanted to share that. That's my update for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.